Hey everyone, in this video we're going to show you how to draw a fist pushing forward with a view from behind. So grab your pencils and let's get drawing. So we're going to start out with essentially the arm coming this way, and the perspective will kind of be, in such where you're looking at your own fist. The arm will come out much wider as you go back, and you could probably guess this is kind of the curved part of the arm over here, so you want to just add a little bit of slight shading or darker areas down below, and if you want, you can kind of bring that up around. This is where the wrist would be. So we can start this process. We'll do the shading at the end, but this might help you envision what this is going to look like, of course. You can give it a hit with your shading if you wish. So that's the starting point. What you have over here is essentially your fist, and what you'll have is the knuckles. So maybe around here you'll probably get the fist kind of going like this. It won't curve out as much. You'll probably want to bring it around. Kind of go to pinky, ring, middle, and let's see, we're going to kind of work our way back. So you're going to kind of think about, how is this fist going to connect to the wrist if the wrist is down here? So you'll have like the pinky over here. So this is where the pinky is. Let's just fix that ever so slightly. Kind of, again, we'll just go pinky, ring, middle, and then over here you'll go to the index. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So, you don't have to draw those lines. I just drew them to show you the guide. The index, you'll see a bit of the finger as well. So keep that in mind. You'll see a bit of the finger. You'll kind of tuck in, and the thumb will probably just kind of be around there. I know that looks a little odd right now. We're going to fix it up ever so slightly, and there's no problem just continuing to use your eraser as you need to. The thumb kind of comes around, right? So over here you kind of have the joint of the thumb. So the joint's kind of over there. You'll probably go from here, you'll probably go down and flat, because that's actually the flat part of the thumb. So we'll want to make sure we represent that well as well. So this is sort of what we're looking at. I think we might want to just continue to kind of make some edits and clean it up, but your index knuckle will be the most pronounced, as well as the middle. And then what would happen is, well, based on my own hand as a reference, the ring and the pinky are much less pronounced. So those are kind of the traits of how this is going to come together. So these lines aren't really necessary. I will use them, but I'll use them in a different way, if you will. They're going to be kind of shadow lines of where the hand will go. So, we're kind of looking at this and we're kind of saying to ourselves, like, is this how it's supposed to look? And you could probably tighten this up a bit because the hand is going like that. And over here, you could probably also ever so slightly just get this piece looking just a little bit more like it's going away from you. So if you're looking at your own fist, this is probably the view you should be seeing. I mean, depending on your angle and depending on what you're doing, of course. So this is that's the thumb over there. So essentially what you want to do is say, hey, okay, here's the middle finger knuckle, and you want to make sure you have enough height over there. So those lines that I drew, we could start to put them back over here. And you could probably switch up to maybe a 5B. And what you can do is just slowly get some shadow started on this area. I like to do it this way, just kind of put some lines, knowing that I'm going to be smudging it out, right? Can you see how that already looks a lot more realistic? You can already see the parts of the hand where you kind of have some ridges, right? So if we have that, we're also, let's see, I think I hit the camera there. We're also going to have a lot of shadows and shading around this part as well. So if we're going to do that, you can certainly just go like this, and we'll use the same technique and just kind of let some of the lead kind of move around the page. This is a kind of a favorite technique of mine as well. You also want to just look at your fist drawing and kind of say, how can I continue to make this better? And I think these could be on a slightly different angle. And if you do that, you can continue to make this work to your liking. Down over here, I think what you want to do is just realize that the thumb is obviously, you want to create some realistic effect to this. So if you're going to do that, it's going to be much darker down below, because this is certainly where the thumb is kind of tucked below the hand over here, right? I think we know that the index finger is kind of closed, and this is what we're drawing there. So in terms of the thumb, you can again smudge it out as well, and just kind of, you know, use your own thumb or whatever smudge technique that you wish, and you can kind of do that as well. I'm just going to continue adding some shading here. We'll just work through this together just until we're 100% happy with what we have. I like the 5B as a really good mid-level pencil that just helps me create some shadows and shading. I don't know about you, maybe let me know in the comments. But what I'll do is I'll continue to add the shading over here. So see how I'm doing this? I'm just really making sure that, you know, what I've drawn here is representative of my own kind of reference photo that I took. So I'll just continue doing this and just make sure that I'm happy with this, and hopefully you're doing the same. I would love to know if you're drawing along as well, or maybe you're just watching for referencing or just trying to learn some techniques. Either way, that's great. Let us know. You know, we love hearing from you. We love kind of hearing from our subscribers and fan base and just everything that you're up to. Feel free to leave a request if there's something specific that you'd like us to draw. We do have, you know, a list of things that we draw, but we want to always add in new things as well. So we'd love to hear from you as well. So over here, I kind of lost it, but I want to make sure that that goes back. And if that does go back, you might want to get some lines like this. So what happens here is you kind of have your thumb down below and you have this over there, right? So we're going to make sure that this is representative of our drawing. Over here, we're going to have some shadows as well, so just make sure you fill this in as well. I almost missed that. I was working on this area so much that we kind of almost missed that on the side, and you can just clean that up ever so quickly as well. So we'll do that. You know, we just start to look at our drawing and kind of see, like, how is this coming together? Ask ourselves, and is there anything that could be added or fixed or cleaned up? For me, I like to do a lot of shading around the side of the arm. The side of the arm really is going to be a lot darker than the rest of the arm. So for me, like, my strategy is just to make sure I get enough shadows along the side, and it really helps me kind of draw and make this drawing as realistic as possible. So it's kind of my secret, right? That's how I kind of do this. I'll use a lot of the shading technique, or what we'll call the smudge technique, like I'm doing right here. And what I might also want to do is, you know, just get some very slight and very faint, I'm not going to say like arm hair or whatever, but sometimes like the arm definitely has some like some light hair on it perhaps, and if it does, that's fine. This is probably a male's arm. I'm not necessarily doing these lines for hair. In a second, I'm gonna perhaps just like smudge it out to kind of create some more shading, but if you do want to put on these little lines, this is how you would do it. You would just repeat this process again and again until you're kind of happy with what you have. You want to go very light because you're not really trying to create some dark shadows at this point. You're really just trying to make this as realistic as possible. What I find is that over here is where the hair of the arm might go one direction. See how I'm going this way? And then towards over here, the hair and the arm might kind of even go more sideways as well. So there's nothing wrong with direction change as well. Probably just keep it at that for now. And if you want, just going like that also helps make that look a lot more realistic. I want to finish up over here and just make sure that what I've drawn is, you know, to my liking, and I'm happy with it. For me, I'm kind of noticing there's a lot of contrast over here. Like there's a lot of dark and white, and I'm not really 100% happy with that. So again, I just go to my trusty like smudge technique that I have, and it doesn't have to be complicated, as you probably know, and just kind of go through and just kind of clean up what you have. There's nothing wrong with the middle knuckle being higher than the others. That's actually more realistic in my case anyway. And we'll just continue to kind of look at this and say, are we happy with this? And can we make it any better? Over here, we could add some shadows as well in the crevice of the two knuckles, okay, ever so slightly. And of course, just always be looking at what you have. You know, again, this is something that you're kind of looking at like this. So kind of a fist going forward might be common in different superhero poses or techniques or whatever have you, however you're kind of working on this. But I don't know, this is meant to be somewhat of a, not a quick, but somewhat of a easy tutorial that you can kind of draw. So it's a common pose. We actually get a lot of people asking about, you know, this particular pose, and we might have even done something very similar in the past. So hopefully between this and the other drawings that we've done, this is helping you out. Yeah, we're just really happy to kind of always be helping you and, you know, creating these drawings and tutorials and lessons and all of that. So hopefully this really helped you. I think we're nearing the end of the drawing. I think you know by now what I always do at this point of the drawing is also just making sure that we do a review of what we have. So, you know, just kind of looking at what we have. Are we happy with what we have? Is there anything that's out of place? And if so, now's the time to do it. So for me, I think this area needs to be just ever so slightly darker, you know. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, some of the shadows over here can probably come down further, right? So I want to pull some of these shadows down and kind of to the wrist. I think that if they can get to the wrist, that will look a lot better. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So for me, I'm pretty happy with what we have. So we'll probably wrap this up and probably work on some other videos today too. So you'll probably get some new videos posted soon. I usually post them fairly quickly after I draw them, but sometimes we plan it out and do them in advance. Anyway, we really appreciate having you, and thank you so much for watching and subscribing and liking and even leaving a comment. We love it. So I guess at this point, I'll just say thank you so much for watching and have a great day.